My name is Patrick Rickendo, whichever you prefer. I use any and all pronouns that you want to use, and I'll take them for you. Thank you. And I am joined here today with a wonderful panel of some of the best GMs that I know from across the TTRPG space and from our own organized play games as well. But hey, I'm the least important person, so I'm going to let them take it away with also an additional question, starting off with a person right next to me, and we'll just go right down the line. Introduce yourself. Who are you? What do you do? And how did you start GMing?
Hi everybody, my name is Patrick Perini. I am the showrunner for Unbalanced Encounters, a very twangy, very good actual play podcast that you probably have never heard of. I started GMing because I listened to Taz Amnesty. Any Taz Amnesty fans in the house? Woo! Hell yeah, West Virginia, baby. And I was like, oh shit, this made me cry? And maybe I could make my friends cry. That sounds fun. And so I started GMing.
Hello everyone, I'm Josephine. You can find me on Scary Dog Friend. I'm based in the Philly, Delaware area, and I started GMing in 2016 because I wanted to make little D&D OC Blurbo children by myself alone. And then I just kind of learned in the process and opened up my community to more opportunities, and now I'm here. So that's it.
Hello everybody, my name is David Tilstra. I'm one of the creators of StoryQuest. We run actual plays out in Los Angeles. And I started DMing because I listened to Taz Balance.
Oh, hell yeah.
So, any Taz Balance fans in the house?
Yeah!
I also like to make my players cry. Yeah, thank you all for being here. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Hi everybody, I'm Kujo. I have been a GM for a little over 10 years. I started, like many, from Matt Mercer and Critical Role. This vest is in no way related to his work, but yeah, I started about 10 years ago. I run Cricket Chronicles on Twitch and YouTube. I'm one of the Kobold Creates projects. Thank you, Kobold Press, for the sponsorship. If tears happen, I wouldn't be upset. So, you know, if my friends decide to cry mid-session, you know, that's fine with me, as long as everybody's safe. Yeah.
If you want to be a good player, I guess just learn how to cry.
Yeah.
That's the only thing you need to do. Don't learn the game.
Right. Rules not important, just on demand.
Yeah. So we're a full table of GMs here. I've been GMing. I guess I should also say what I do. I'm the media production manager for Kobold Press, and I've also been a GM for a little over a decade now. I had to teach myself D&D 4th edition so I could tell my other friends how to play, so I could force them to play with me, which is, I think, a familiar feeling for a lot of GMs. But as we are all GMs here, we're going to start it off with just some questions, getting some things moving, talking about what it's like to GM. And then we're going to open up the panel to some questions about, you know, any tips or tricks, things that you all would like to know. So the first thing I want to know is there are many different GM styles when it comes to preparing to GM a session or preparing to GM a campaign. And I want to know, are you all high prep, low prep, or no prep GMs? And what are the pros and cons that you all find from your particular style? Anybody wants to?
High prep, but also everything goes. Like everything like goes away eventually. I'm the person that you give your 60-page backstory to, and then, well, I think just in general, I'm very character-driven, more so, and then build the plot, story, world building sort of around that, because that way I feel like I've gotten to have the most diverse and cultural and just like diverse in terms of like religious subject matter as well in that regard. And when it's fun when it's just like someone has like this religious thing going on, and then someone has like this very specific cultural thing going on. You can start building worlds out of that, and then whatever else you had right at the very beginning will probably never happen. But I think there's a joy in that too, for like it's kind of a sick, twisted way. Like you'll be able to use some of those elements. Like I could bring this back finally.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm very high prep, very character based.
Mm-hmm. Jumping off of that a little bit, because I love that approach. I think of it more as high vibes, right? It's like, I want to have a super robust mood board. I want to have a lot of music prepped. I want to have a lot of like shit from this movie and stuff from this culture that I really think is interesting, so that as my players are doing whatever they want and I can be very improvisational, I like have something ready, but I'm not strongly committed to how that plays out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I am. I'd say I'm mid to low prep. It depends on the session that's coming up. If I know it's just like, hey, people are showing up in a town, then I will sit and just look at like either pictures of fun cities, or just start thinking of cool concepts to introduce in a location. With some minimal character work, maybe I'll have like a couple of merchant NPCs in case they want to go shopping. We love our shopping episodes. And I kind of go from there, unless it's like, oh, we're about to go into a big combat, then I have to sit and like focus in, like, okay, I have to have everything ready to go, because if I don't have something planned or prepped, the whole combat could go in 5 minutes, which has happened, and it's wonderful when it does. But yeah, I also believe that there's a little bit of improv that you need to be able to have, and this is just my personal take, that you need to be able to be ready to draw from, because if the players are going to go left pretty much at any point. So you can have, I will share this story later. We won't touch on it, but just, I always am ready, like, okay, if they go this way, I can sort of tool around things to make sure that we end at a spot where I have the most prep ready to go. Other times I'm like, I'm gonna need you to give me about 20 minutes so I can get a battle map, and then we will figure it out. But yeah, just, I'd say mid to low prep.
Yeah, I think very much like everyone else here, very similarly, like mid to low prep, because I think for me, one of the most important things is that everybody is at the table. Everybody who's at the table is on the same team. And everybody's telling not the same story, but like we're all working together kind of for the same story. So I think if whatever you can do as a GM to make yourself feel comfortable, so then that you can facilitate and help your players move through the story that they want to tell, like I think that's the best way to do it. So like if you like you're saying, if you have your whole castle prepped over here, and then they decide to go to the village, it's like, okay, well maybe we'll come back to this later, or I can take pieces from this and put it over here. So you have to be willing, you have to prep enough to make yourself feel comfortable to be able to facilitate the best story you possibly can.
I had a GM for 20 sessions, had 3 pages of notes, and I
Amazing.
wanted to kill him.
Oh, some of the best games I've ever played in or run have 1 page of notes. If you can be flexible, it can really pay off.
Yeah.
I've had stretches of time where I don't like record stuff for the last like 10 sessions, and then they're like, how do you remember all this? I'm like, it's in there somewhere, hold on.
We'll get there. Shift through it.
Yeah. So it sounds like there's like a lot of adaptability, a lot of working with the players, with like the things that they're interested in, and feeling very comfortable for, okay, I did have this thing that I was going to do, and maybe we'll get to it later, maybe we won't. But it's all about trying to facilitate the experience for the players and their characters and what they're most interested in.
And I'm sure this is going to come up again and again today, but remember that your players are also your storytellers. You're all authoring this thing together. It's not just you.
Yeah.
Well, then also on kind of that same note, I feel like a lot of times this gets overlooked. The GM is also one of the players, and also needs to have fun. So like whatever you need to do to like also have fun. Remember, like, oh, I'm telling this story and playing this game with these amazing people. We're all doing this together. We gotta just make it work.
I genuinely think there's this like trope that it's always an adversarial thing between the GM and your player. No, we're all at the same table. We're all telling the same story together. So sometimes as a GM, like let's work together on how this critical fail unfortunately happens, and you find a way to make it fun for everybody, even though you may have fallen down some stairs when you're trying to sneak through a manor. But yeah, I think the whole adversarial aspect of like, we have to beat the DM is like, put that aside. Like there are some games where like absolutely that's like built into the system. Pathfinder. I'm not naming names, Pathfinder. But if you don't need to go into that. At the end of the day, everybody just wants to tell a story and roll some dice and have some fun, and that's all you gotta do.
Yeah.
Just have some fun.
I think going along with that, and also like keeping in mind like that note that you said that the GM is also a player. How do you all find ways when there are specific things that you're like, I really want to hit this beat for either this important character moment or this big thematic thing with my story, but the characters don't seem to be going in that direction? How do you manage that, and how do you help facilitate like getting people back on like, hey gang, there is a thing that we're doing?
There's a knock on the door.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you just simply have to just put it in there,
Yeah.
like just put it out there to be like, well, who's in it? You have to check.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's suspense and horror. I think I don't know, me as a primarily a horror GM. So when it comes to certain beats like that, when people are getting a little bit too comfortable or a little bit too happy or whatever, just reminding them. You know.
You shouldn't be happy when you're playing tabletop games.
I don't see anyone shivering in fear.
Yeah, that's my style. When I feel like it's less about your players forgetting the stakes, but when you need to move something forward, the Oleander, our friend, Stray Nerd Boy, said in a liminal horror game, ideally something should be happening within 5 minutes. Like something new information. You need to continue your story session if you have the time for 6-hour long home games, which is beautiful. Then like your timing and pacing can really go along with whatever is fun and like in the vibe within the group. But if you have maybe like 2-3 hours or something like that, it's just those fun little just drops of just like you hear something.
Keeping them back.
Keep them on your toes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, early on when I started jamming, I read a book by Sly Flourish called The Lazy Dungeon Master. Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master. Yeah. If you haven't read it, everybody should read that. It's such a good book. And one of the things that's really helped me throughout these last couple of years is the idea of, as GMs and storytellers, we're going to have secrets and plot points and things that we're going to have to structure the story with. But one of the takeaways I had from that book was like, you can structure your plot points and your secrets to not be locked into like a railroad on the story. It's like if you have an NPC who's like, they have the critical information, they don't have to be at the tavern, they can be wherever. Or if you have a key behind door A and your players go to door B, they're not going to know if you're like, oh, actually I'm going to take this and put it behind door B. Like you can maneuver things around and kind of move the rails to where your players go. Based on like if you just kind of do that loose prep we're talking about it, just like you have your ideas, you have your stories, you talk with your players, you know what they want to try and do, you have your kind of bullet points, and then as the story is unfolding, you sort of maneuver those around and shift those around to be like, cool, yeah, you all wanted to go to the forest. Now instead of a bunch of skeletons that have this secret, it's going to be a bunch of like fairies in the woods or whatever. So you just kind of can flex and bend behind the DM screen, which is why it's there, because you can cheat behind the DM screen. But yeah, that's the sort of like, to answer your question of like, how do you get pertinent information and like kind of get those rails back on? It's like, just do it. You don't need,
I mean, to that end, sorry. Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay.
To that end, there's something from the Powered by the Apocalypse universe. I'm very sorry. There's something as do we all. Where they tell you over and over and over again, as the GM, remember you control the camera. And I think that's a really important framing that can be very useful. It doesn't need to be the end all be all, but remember, the game doesn't need to be told specifically from the perspective of just your player character's first person point of view. You can move things. You can show them what's happening behind a door. The players are going to know, maybe the characters don't. You can reposition, reframe, change the angle, change the pacing to show them, hey, there's interesting stuff going on over here. And if they're not biting at knock on the door, which they probably will, but if they're not biting at knock on the door, put the camera on the other side of the door. Show them who's on the other side of the door, because then they'll probably care who's on the other side of the door. And they'll be like, okay, I want to go figure out what this guy wants from me.
Send in a wrecking ball.
I wouldn't answer my door if someone's knocking. They can text me and let me know that they're
Like a person.
I'm an evil villain.
Hey, I'm here to like Rest
He
up
kill
your
you.
life. I'm sorry.
I know you're
I'm here to
missing
just
father.
drink.
Do you have any loved ones in there?
I read your backstory. I know what's gonna hurt you.
I don't want to kick in your doot.
You're not
Door.
I think you've all nailed the points. Like exactly as I was going to say. Thank you, by the way. I think when I was starting to GM, I was thinking too much of it like a video game, in that you had to have these solid moments happen this way.
Yeah.
And the more and more you play, the more you realize, like, no, I can reposition and put these puzzle pieces in wherever.
Yeah.
And they won't have a clue. They won't know that I just had to delete a whole page out of my notes that I totally take
I've done it.
to make something happen. Sometimes you have a secret ready and waiting, and you think they're not going to touch on it, and then they hit all the right buttons, and it's like, okay, we're episode 2. The BBEG is revealing
Oh my God,
themselves
yeah.
already, and it's like, okay,
when that happens. I love it when
that
they get
happens, 'cause
there.
I'm like, you guys did the exact things in such a way that it's like, I have to. I have to show you what happens here. So, yeah, I think having a malleability with plot points or NPCs or information, or even that super cool sword that somebody's like, I put this on my wish list.
Yeah.
Like, you decide on where and when that gets revealed. And it helps when you have trust with your players too, to know, like, listen, if they just want to have a bar episode, we can just have a bar episode.
Yeah.
We can just sit and play drinking games all night, and that'll be fine. If everybody's having fun, congratulations, you did the thing. But at some point, if they're like, you can interrupt us at any point, or like have a little bit of open communication, I think that definitely helps too.
Yeah.
And that's such a huge point of like just having. I know there's like session zeros, like check-ins throughout the story and stuff. Like even like at the table, just those moments of like, cool guys, we've been at this place for a while. Is everyone feeling okay? Like we could advance the story, or we could keep playing these games, or whatever. I think that's so important, just having that communication with your players, because it just level sets and helps everyone. Just make sure, like you said, like if everyone's having fun, you're playing
You're doing
TTRPGs right. Like that's
Yeah.
we also like making people cry, which is false, but
Consensually.
Yeah, consensually. Yeah. But as long as everyone's just having a good time and having that open communication and like feeling like they're protected at the table and heard at the table, that's all that matters.
I mean, that's the final point. You guys can go.
Yeah.
Right.
Bye.
If you're talking to your players, if you're having a good time, none of this matters. We're just making stuff up. So that's fine.
Exactly. Thanks for coming out, guys.
Cool, lunch early.
But like, so I'm interested in, because it seems like we've mentioned multiple games here, right? How do the games and systems that you play inform your particular styles of GMing?
Yeah.
Or what things that have you taken from other games that you bring into other stuff? Like I know.
Play every game.
Yeah.
Play every game. The bad ones are going to teach you something. The dumb ones are going to teach you something. Lasers and Feelings taught me more about pacing a game than almost any other game I've ever played. Tales of the Valiant is going to teach you something. D&D is going to teach you something. Every PBTA game is going to teach you something. You don't have to like it. You're going to learn. Play every game.
So much from the Pokemon tabletop.
And it's a crazy niche game, and you learn so much from it. It's a great example. Anyway, that's my subject.
Steal what you love.
Exactly.
Yes!
Exactly.
Well, I think it's so that right there. I think is so funny, because I feel like whenever we all run games, like, oh, we want to make sure we're doing it right, or like when Wizards releases a new book, it's like, oh, well, we got to make sure we get the rules right. I'm like, when's the last time anyone's run like a game that isn't like an amalgamation of 500 games? Like, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's like, exactly, take what you love, or take what your players are going to love, or take what like helps you tell a story the best way possible. Yeah. Because there's so many amazing systems out there. There's so many amazing mechanics out there. Like, it just is what you feel comfortable with, what your players agree to, what helps everyone just, like you said, just have a good time. That's all that comes down to.
Yeah.
My favorite game is Monster Hearts 2, and like the main MC tenet is be feral. Keep things going in a feral way. Monster Hearts, obviously, it's like very Buffy or like CW show, but you're all monsters, that sort of thing. And I think the thing that I just carry throughout all of my any game that you have of me, it's just a reminder how relationships are like the scariest horror that exists out there. Like maintaining your intimate relationships and how your relationship to your dead mother's current ashes.
Speaking of crime,
It can shape a character and the way that you carry even like the rest of the story, the little touchstone bits of that. Like any game that gives me an opportunity to allow my players reflect on something and create the world around them just by like in Wanderhome, like there are the two things that make this scary temple important to God, whatever. So and just anything that has like very evocative lists, or like is able to like really give you those touchdowns. It's kind of why I like when games are like, this is what we were inspired by, and this is how we made it our own thing, and like. Yeah, in whatever way you can get someone to relate to something. Like even if someone has never watched Buffy or played Monster Hearts 2, I think what they can relate to is what is the allegory specifically of this playbook and like what it means to be growing up in like a small Appalachian town or something like that. And like how do you then ground a character choice into like anything pretty much.
I encourage, so if you find yourself playing a lot of games that are very mechanical, which are great, we love games like
Correct.
that. I would highly recommend playing games like Daggerheart, like games like Burning Wheel, games that literally incentivize you to step into the shoes of your character, because then it opens up what you think and feel when you're role playing. And as from a GM's perspective, I find that shift between mechanical and more narrative a beautiful thing. There are sessions I've ran where we have maybe rolled dice 5 times throughout the day, and it's purely just because it's storytelling. I think the more you push yourself to try something new, the Power Ranger system taught me stuff. It's also, I'm a Power Ranger fan, judge me. But like, the more you can push yourself and put yourself in like outside your comfort zone to try a game that you have no idea what it is, you're gonna learn something. You guys are, again, I'm over here.
Keep
you guys
up.
are already hitting all the points.
Keep up.
Come on.
I'm here too. No, I think the more you push yourself out of your comfort zone to try a game that you maybe would never have tried before, I think you're going to find some mechanics or some way to approach your GMing that you didn't have before. And so, go play all the games.
The Corrupted by Navarre Jackson, which maybe it's +1 XP today.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah. Booth 449, by the way. There is it's a zombie survival game where you are specifically, the ideal setup is 2 players, and there is a stress mechanic. Depending on which stress ticks and which conditions that you hit, you might be overcompensating, or you might be pushing or faltering, or you become ultimately extremely overwhelmed. So when you hit those points, the game basically just asks you in that moment, like, what do you do to like disappoint your partner or leave them behind, or that kind of thing.
How do you hurt them?
How do you,
such a
how do you
good
hurt
question.
Them? How do you hurt yourself in the process? What does it mean to falter? Like, what if it's like you're a daughter and like father, and like your father for the first time in the face of zombies, the zombie's your mom, that kind of thing. How do you disappoint your daughter? That
Also,
kind of
The
thing.
Zombie's Your Mom is a great game that needs to be.
Yeah.
Somebody go write that game. That's sick.
All of our minds lit up like, how can we make that?
I'm seeing branding already.
Yeah.
I adore games that ask players, how do you fail?
Oh, yeah.
If you're a GM, give up those questions, right? Let your players hurt themselves because they eat that shit up.
Right, it just helps with the character growth, and like helps your it also just helps your players really connect with with their characters, because it's just I'm not this ultimate paladin who's never disappointed anyone in their entire life, and I'm just this perfect golden child. It's like, that's fine. If that's the story you want to tell, go for it. But like, if you can like humanize and like connect yourself to your characters, then it's just like, oh man, like I really care about this person.
Yeah.
One of the popular phrases is, how do you want to do this? Always implying when you get the natural 20, when you slay the monster, when you do the great thing, that's great. move that to the bad stuff too. Let them tell you what happens.
Yeah.
Let them take the reins for just a second to let you know my character completely messed this up, and now I don't think I'll be able to see my friend.
One time I cheated on my wife.
Okay, but is this in game?
Right?
I don't understand.
No, it's the zombie wife.
Yeah.
Well, she's dead anyway.
Yeah.
Is it legally? Anyway.
Till death do we part.
But that's how I
Satisfied.
So
failed.
undead.
Yeah.
bring us
That's
back.
really
Oh.
good. Oh my
This is
god.
going to start turning into a conversation on is undead really dead?
Depends on the system.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Real quick, what was the name of that zombie system you're talking
The
about?
Corrupted.
Corrupt. That's not really
Booth
cool.
449.
Booth
The
449.
zombie is your mom. That's right. Go ahead.
hey, you can listen to The Ties That Bind.
You can listen to the Ties That Bind.
Corrupted. Okay.
Amazing. So we've talked about a lot of games now,
Yeah.
but I want to bring it back to the people who are running the show.
Let's go.
Who's that?
Kobold Press. And I'm interested in what tools, because all of you have run Tales of the Valiant.
Yes.
What tools have you found in Tales of the Valiant that have helped create some of these moments for you all? Or what tools have you found that did something new and surprising that you weren't expecting?
I love the luck system.
Oh, we're just gonna talk about the luck
Failing.
system. Okay, we're just gonna talk about
Let's talk
Take
about
it.
failing.
all hail Tales of the Valiant luck.
Yeah.
I
It's
love
so
the
good.
luck mechanics so much, if only because it's like it gives a little more toys to the players. Like, no, I really want to make this work. Even when they spend the 2 luck to re-roll the die, and it still fails.
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking, but it's wonderful. I actually introduced a third mechanic to it. When you spend 3 luck, you use the I know a guy rule.
Ooh, that's fun.
You change the canon, not the canon, but you introduce something in some ways. So it's like, hey, we're in a new town. I don't know anybody here. I think I know that blacksmith. He and I used to go to school together. There you go. You've already made an NPC. You have a connection. You have somebody who's probably going to have some information for you. You spend the 3 luck to do it. That's in the story now. That means that me as a GM, I have to quickly write down what is their name, and,
Yeah.
and then kind of quickly think of a description, and then just go with it. That's, I think, the most fun is when the players are like, yeah, no, I think I know somebody from here, and then they just give you something weird. Like, my cousin's ex lives here, and I'm like,
Ooh.
hey.
What a
So-
gift.
When you fail in Tales of the Valiant, you get a luck point out of 5. By the time that you haven't spent luck up to 6, you have to roll a d4 and then lose that many luck. So make sure you're failing forward, but you make sure you use it.
Yeah.
Use it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things that I really love about the luck mechanic, we kind of touched on the idea of GM pacing earlier. It's such a cool tool for slowing things down. In my podcast, in a season that has not yet been released because we're playing Tales of the Valiant in it, episode 2, one of the player characters is on death saving throws. First fight, first turn, death saving throws. And first fight, first turn, he gets knocked out.
I'm here to fetch.
Cool.
Yeah. We decided to dial in on that. And first time playing Tales of the Valiant, we never used the luck mechanic before. He's teeing up, how do I use luck points to make sure that I succeed these death saving throws? And we slow everything down around the math. We're like, you need to hit a 10, you have 2 luck. That means you need to hit an 8. Everybody shut up, roll the d20. And it lands, and he needs both luck to do it. He gets exactly an 8, it counts as a success, then we move on. But it gives you that moment, that beat to pause and be like, as a GM, I'm gonna dial in on the importance of this because the player now has a way to react to what the dice is doing. And that's so cool from a pacing perspective.
Yeah. I also love how flexible it is. Like how you mentioned, Kujo, you brought in a completely new mechanic using something we already had. And Luck and Doom kind of work in this way of like being able to give both the players and the game masters these extra tools that you then at the table can mold to your own, like, okay, what new things can we do with Luck? What new things can I do with Doom? Maybe I'm spending Doom points to make someone they don't want to show up, all of a sudden show up.
I don't know yet. I hate a guy.
No, but quite literally, like, oh no, my ex should.
The ex-wife I cheated on.
I also have to navigate my failed relationship.
That's what I'm talking about.
But it also be like, oh,
relationships with the dragon.
but it could also be like, oh, the rogue is lockpicking into this thing, and you're like, well, I've got this doom I've been holding on to. Let's spend a point. Oh, you do open it, and who is it on the other side? But the captain of the guards.
Yeah.
This is his home.
He's got a gun!
He's like just putting his stuff down for the day. Just like,
Alright. Let's go.
That's such a Matt Mercer joke.
But it's very much like they're so flexible in this
Yeah.
way, and also give these kinds of control over the story in a way that I think is very fresh for 5th edition, especially.
Sure.
As someone who spent most of my early TikTok experience fighting people about D&D fantasy racism, what I love about Tales of the Valiant is the delineation between lineage, heritage, and background.
yes.
Because first of all, just because you're an elf or a tiefling or whatever, we understand that in D&D, like, there are different ways you could become a tiefling, or different like countries and things that elves come from. But being able to say that I am like, just thinking about Hendrian, one of the pre-gens of the Valiant 6, Hendrian is a Diceborg orc who has actually never had a relationship or lived in or even knows the language of like the country of origin that he's from. And as someone who does not speak my mother language, whatever, has never like really had a deep cultural understanding or experience with like my country, like I think that delineation is exactly what we need to make sure that fantasy races don't continue to become monolithic. By introducing a heritage, you can make it so much more. You can just include so many more leaps and bounds of different ways of what it means to like be an orc, be a kobold, be like literally whatever you want in a way that actually means something to you. Like if you, not even specifically just talking about like an Asian experience, but like the different ways that you can just show off like religious aspects that you want to introduce, or like going into the background. And I find just background so much more rewarding in Tales of the Valiant compared to D&D.
The
Like,
adventuring motivation from
Yeah.
like, this is the job that I had that makes me special, and also how did that push me out into the world.
yeah, exactly. Like, it's just so much more. Like, also the talents specifically, it's just so much more rewarding to be alive in Tales of the Valiant. To be a character that like exists, lives, and breathes is just so much. It's just more encompassing of everything that I want out of my character.
Yeah.
Live your best life.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And we had a character building panel on this past Thursday.
Yeah, that's a day.
What day is it?
How many years have we been at GenCon?
But like it was like anytime I get to see anyone like actually get their hands on it, and like the choices that players are making when they are saying, okay, these are the people that I come from, this is the culture that I was in, and this is the job that I had, are already incredibly flavorful choices that I think originally in 5th edition, when I make a character, I'm like, okay, I'm a dwarf paladin, if I choose a background at all. That doesn't really tell me anything about who that character is, but saying I'm a dwarf from a cloud heritage with the artistry background, that's a person right there. And also that gives you as a GM so much more to feed off of. And also being able to, like, if you're going into a game, you're like, okay, we're starting a campaign, we're starting a new world. Okay, I'm starting to like conceptualize what this looks like. You as a GM can go, okay, I think maybe these heritages and these backgrounds are the most important, or going to be the most important in this world. And you can give that list to your characters and go, these are the things that I think are going to fit best in this world and how I think they can fit best. You can choose these, or you can still choose something else and we can see how it fits in, but having those choices as both narrative and mechanical things for players.
Yeah, because like sub races are just so like, what do you mean the only dwarf you can ever be like in, like if you just open up the player's handbook is like Helen mountain or whatever. It's just
What does
like,
that mean?
what does that
Yeah.
mean?
I mean, you live in the hills of the mountains, but that doesn't say
One of them's
anything about-
greedy, and what are you talking about? Like,
Wait, is that what those mean?
Apparently.
the hill dwarf
Sorry,
is
kind
like
of.
the gold dwarves, right?
Yeah.
So they're just like, we love gems, and it's like, that's it.
That's it.
That's our
My
deal.
That's our
Entire
deal.
personality.
Or like, that's the only carving thing of your ancestry. It's just like, there's gotta be more.
Yeah.
You gonna say something?
No, I just said they're all crystal girlies.
I would play that game actually. That feels more robust.
But it's not
feels
because
great.
it was like your birthright.
Right, yeah. Everyone's opting into this.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Oh, these gems.
Yeah. Oh my
Walking into a dwarf's home and they're like, oh, here's an amethyst. You don't need to cleanse your.
That's the energy.
Honestly, I kind of love that.
That's actually kind of slaps.
I do want to open this up to some questions. If anyone has any questions, please raise your hand and I'll call on you. Bam, right there.
So I really love moments where you get to remind the players of their character as a person dealing
Yeah.
with all these instances. Specifically, I love, we travel through the desert, I get to take a bath. Like, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Is there a particular scene that you had with a player that helped, like, ground them to remind them that their character is a person and, like, help bring it back to that?
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry,
Go.
no. So this is even just, I think being a forever GM, I had like an accidental, like, I felt like I became, this is a player moment, but I feel like we can take a little bit from here. I was playing a flesh warp beastkin minotaur. This is Pathfinder. And she's just like this giant monstrous minotaur who's like, you know, flesh and like leprosy all over her. And thank you, Patrick. And she took a bath. She was just like, she was literally being hunted for being a monster, and she was like, I have soap and perfume and things like that. So it's I think kind of being able to translate that is just like reminding people about those like little things, like even like hygiene. I think in fantasy, I love a bath scene. I love a bath moment. So being able to remind someone, like, or even ask certain questions about like what's a meal like you would put together,
Yeah.
or like how do you flavor certain drinks, and like I don't know. It's so fascinating to me how people like input either their own or different types of like those little material cultures like that. Yeah, how do you bathe, Patrick? I don't know.
Somebody tell me, I'm not sure.
World wants to know.
And I also think that it's such a cool way to think about it, because some of your most dramatically satisfying moments can come from that as well. We had a moment in our show where one of my players, Emily, my wife, who's over here, was playing a Drake Warden, and her dragon was her externalized inner child. And we had a moment where he kind of got a little solo scene. He went off on his own, and he went to go play some like kickball with some kids. And at this point, high level, large size creature, inner child, doesn't necessarily recognize his own strength, knocks a kid down, and there's this like heartrending moment where he's like, oh, I'm not this kid anymore. I have to accept that I need to grow up, and I have to accept that I can do that I have the agency to do that. And it brought both of us to tears.
I'm crying now.
And the scene ends with him flying back to her character's father, and her character's father being like, hey, I know I wasn't there for you guys, but I'm really proud of you. And you don't have to be good at kickball to be worthy. And that moment of humanity was probably one of the most dramatic moments we had in the entire show, where like 8 people died.
Yeah.
Like that was the moment that sticks
At
with
kickball?
me. At kickball! Death saving throws, episode 2, baby! I go hard!
This is why none of my characters have dads.
Yeah, dads are a lot. Dads are a lot. I think we all agree.
Did you kickball?
I think a lot of these moments that we're talking about are downtime activities, or downtime moments of rest or
True.
whatever. And I find that in those moments where you illustrate, it's quiet.
Yeah.
Nothing's exploding. But you can't help but just think of everything that's happened to lead up to this point.
Yeah.
and just kind of let that settle in, one of my favorite sessions I've run, we did a flashback episode for one of the characters, and we illustrated the torrential crap that they had to deal with to get to this point. And the last half hour of the session was just, you're sitting at your campfire with your armor sitting before you. They're a mechanist. They're actually right there. And you just re-experience essentially all of this all at once. God. And just sitting with that and everything that it meant and all of the horrible memories that came with it, like, whew boy, that I think that is a real good way. You just illustrate a little bit of silence and a little bit of like an emotional recap. Like, you just finished fighting this huge monster that terrorized a town and all of these people are gone. Like, how do you come to grips with that? You saved the day, but like, there's still a cost. There's still something that was lost in that
We should
process.
reflect more on when characters have never killed someone before.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I kind of, first of all, great question. I have two sort of answers to this. In my first show I ran, one of my characters was a hobgoblin samurai from this whole really cool world culture that he had made up and everything. It was very, very cool. And one of the things that was really important to him was specifically the way he dressed, but even more specifically, the type of cigarette he smoked.
Hell yes.
And so my quick answer to this is,
Smoke cigarettes.
smoke cigarettes. Yeah. That's it. Bye, everybody. No.
Sponsored by Kobold Press.
He put so much love and care into specifically his character's description, and there was a couple moments where I, as the GM, there was sort of a more chill moment, sort of a downtime moment, and I would just have an NPC like comment on specifically the cigarettes for this example, and then he just got chances to like talk with other NPCs without this like, oh, where did you lose your father, or like, why? It's like he was like, oh, like, what is this Goostum root all about? And then it got like opened up this whole like story about like, oh, this like my grandfather was the one who made it, and it like brought up this whole like backstory. So yeah, I think like the quick answer to that is like your players will give you all the gems that you need, like, specifically for this example in their descriptions. So if you just like call back to those moments of like, oh, like, why do you have a limp, or like, why do you have glasses on, or like, why, like, what is the significance of like the red cape you're wearing? Like it just gives them a moment to be like, oh yeah, this is why I put this into this character and why it's important to this story I'm telling right now. And then, just kind of getting back to that downtime thing, one of the things I like to do in my more long-run campaigns is these little things called like fireside chats, where we go into a character's backstory, but what I do is I'm like, cool, I don't want to DM this. You, whoever's backstory it is, like, you play your character, but you're also the one, like, lead us through it. Like, who do you want us to play? Like, oh, you want us to be your mom or whatever from your backstory? Like, we're all gonna help like live this moment with you, and then it's wild how like we can all talk about our backstories and talk about like, oh yeah, I'm doing this for this reason, but when you're like, this is why I went to the market that day and bought 7 apples from this, which is actually how much Hello Kitty weighs. It's kind of weird, but this is why I went to.
Fun fact.
Yeah, fun fact.
Learned something today.
Like when you give everyone at the table a chance to like interact with people's backstories as like a actual like as an active participant, it like adds so much to both the people whose not backstory it is and also the person telling the backstory, and then it adds so much flavor and lore and like genuine respect and love for people's backstories.
I'm stealing that.
It's a
so
little rare for D20 systems to have that kind of interactability.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
It's fun. So yeah, feel free to take whatever.
Who's next?
Well,
sorry.
The one thing that I will add to this, I've been one of my current favorite GMs right now, Rara of the Heart of the Dungeon. He is very good about this because he is very much a questions kind of GM, where he will ask you a question as a player that you aren't seeing coming.
Yeah.
Where he'll be like, you walk into a room and you see a painting of this great lord in his red cape. Why does he look like your father?
Yeah.
so good.
It's like, and it's stuff like that where me as a player, every time I'm at his table, I'm like,
Give me 10
why,
minutes.
hold on, give me a second. And it's like stuff like that. Sometimes asking questions that are rooted in our humanity,
Yeah.
especially about things that we remember and things that we are really attached to, is an incredibly powerful thing, because it also gives your players a chance to characterize in ways that they probably otherwise wouldn't have thought of. It gives them a chance to bring out new layers from that character.
Be curious. That's a top tip.
Yeah.
I think that last thing you said, Kenneth, is really important. Like, you can come up with all the backstories and like layers for your character you want, but like when you like give them a chance at the table to like really express that or experience that, it becomes real.
Yeah.
And it's a huge thing for GMs to give their players that opportunity. Like, hey, well, you're telling the story too. Like, what do you got? Yeah.
Any other questions?
Yes.
That kind of storytelling takes a lot of vulnerability at a table, which I would like to know about safety tools at your tables. I know you like to talk about them. I'm throwing you this softball.
Hey folks, if you're ever on a panel, get your friends to sit in the front row.
So safety tools exist. Calm down.
I'm sorry, I'm excited.
Safety tools exist for a reason. There is the X card. When people are getting vulnerable at the table and that X card gets put down, I want to know, how do you handle that moment with the table? And how do you circle back with the table to understand what exactly happened as a group to keep each other safe?
I believe very strongly in safety tools at every table, okay? Period, end of story. There are always safety checklists, red, yellow, green, X card, lines and veils, all of it, okay? So just disclaimer for that. If somebody at my table ever said, I'm not okay, I don't care if it's streamed, I don't care if it's live, I don't care if we're at Madison Square Garden. Everything stops. I would love to have a one-on-one with that player, let the rest of the party be for a little bit and do a check-in and work through what just happened. Communicate. If it's a situation where communication's a little bit difficult, be patient, because sometimes the subject matter that we dive into is very triggering, and sometimes it might take a little bit to express what it is that you're feeling. Be patient, be there for them, just be there and talk through it, okay? At the same time, if your other players are like, the hell, I'm gonna go slay this dragon. If you're a player at that table and you're upset that somebody else is having to have a safety check-in, don't do that.
Yeah.
Okay? Be patient. These things happen, okay? If you come back to the table, we try to kind of get the vibes going again. Open communication is key. If it's in the middle of a combat, in the middle of an intense scene, at a bar scene, open communication with your party is a must. Pretty much at any point. So do not be afraid to do check-ins. And if something like that happens, be there and be patient and help them come to, work through it a little bit and be there and apologize if a line was crossed and find a way around that. So that you can get back to having fun and telling those stories and get back into the spirit of what this hobby is.
If anyone does AP or has any games that they'd like put up on YouTube or anything like that, there was a really cool instance of a line that was crossed that was then addressed by the production team, like the next episode basically. Wildfire Club is a Life is Strange Kids on Bikes show that Tino Tales did, and I was one of the cast and there were other cast members. In the very first episode, a line was crossed because there was a misunderstanding about the type of abuse that was happening in the background So rather than it just being physical abuse, a misunderstanding happened where sexual abuse was mentioned. And then the very next episode, before even that, we all stopped. We finished the episode. We had a very long debrief about how, where did the miscommunication fall through the cracks? What is the best case scenario for things happening, for this to not happen in the future? What we landed on was just having the beat sheet for every future episode, just be prepared a couple days before the live stream was going to happen, because it wasn't a pre-recorded situation. It's hard to catch ourselves in that moment of being a line such as sexual assault is being brought up, I don't know where exactly, sometimes you as a player might be like, I don't know where to stop in this situation. But at any point, please make sure that there is some kind of like safety ambassador at the table, or you can do like a timeout or like sign language for a veil or N or something along those lines. We were then able to, for the next episode on the YouTube VOD, to be able to say, this communication is happening, this miscommunication happened in episode 1. We are, as a series, going to be retconning this and also going to be taking accountability for the mistakes that we make continuing on. And like just being able to show that to the audience as well was really, like, it's really cool to be able to show that vulnerability like all around too.
And a lot of this stuff we obviously take very, very seriously because we're playing with a lot of people we don't know super intimately. We're doing it in a stream capacity, in a podcast. It's professional or semi-professional.
Yeah.
It matters at your home games too, right? Because at the end of the day, if you haven't given express permission for your buddy to be like, hey, that made me really uncomfortable, they might never tell you. And you might never know that they're really unhappy with the way this is going. And a lot of games will founder because a game isn't going in the direction, either emotionally or even just from a play perspective.
Like resentment.
And you haven't explicitly said, bring that to me.
Yeah.
Tell me in the moment or tell me after the session. A lot of people need permission to feel like they're not hurting their friends when they call them out in that way. Give your players permission to tell you when they're uncomfortable. Because it does matter at home. You want to know that stuff so you can be playing a game that everybody loves and everybody feels comfortable with.
Don't joke about safety or anything like that. Also, don't.
I'm gonna get one more question.
Oh,
Yeah.
We'll get 2 more questions.
Speaking of like debriefing and that sort of thing, when you have like feedback moments with your players, and you're like, okay, what do you think? What do you want more of? What do you want less of? And they're like, I don't know. It was good, I think. What are some like guiding topics or guiding questions that you have to inspire them to give you something?
I have a thing on this. Don't ever ask for negative feedback immediately after a session. If you're a GM, always be willing to hear from your players like, hey, I want this to go in a different direction. I want less of this. Keep your DMs open, keep your texts open, right? Let them know that they can come to you. After a session, focus on the positives. What did you like? Make them say something that they liked that they did. Because that gets them thinking critically about the game, both from what did I enjoy perspective that other people did, what did I do that I liked, and it gets them engaged with reflecting on the game in a way that allows you to double down on what's working well and makes everybody feel like, oh man, we killed it this game. This was so cool. And once those gears start turning, you'd be amazed. An hour later, a day later, they're going to come back and be like, actually, that pacing didn't feel right. That combat felt like it dragged on for 7 hours, right? That wasn't what I wanted to feel. And it'll open up those floodgates. So don't push for negative feedback immediately after a session.
What do you want more of?
What do you want more of is a better place to start.
That's really good.
Stars, wishes, and sparkle. That's
Yeah.
basically the way to like structure it out. After every one of my games, I structure decomp in that way, just so that way we can all have a moment to talk about how much we liked it, didn't like, whatever. And I always illustrate, if there's something else that comes up, if there's something that I as a GM can do to improve, please let me know. Sometimes, yes, it might be a couple of days after, but at least you've got them thinking and communicating of what they liked that other people did at the table, what they themselves did at the table, and a wish is just like a fun expectation for what they would hope to see in the future. Then from there, when that communication is opened up and it's a little bit more consistent, then they can maybe come back with, hey, I was thinking about maybe changing this for a future backstory moment or anything like that. You open the communication more. I think the theme here is open communication.
Exactly.
Talk to your people.
Talk to your people.
On that note, to get back to the question here, one of the things I like to do personally, I come from a screenwriting background, so I do a lot of, whenever I'm like prepping for myself, I do a lot of like outlines, and like these are the main plot points I want to hit. So I usually have that for like overall story as well as like for each individual character. So like after an arc or after a big story moment, I'll usually just go to my players and be like, hey, I'm kind of thinking of sending you along this sort of journey. How do you feel about that? And either they'll be like, oh, that's great, and then I'm like, cool. So like, then you can dive a little deeper into like those specific moments, or they'll be like, no, I don't want that. They're like, cool. So now let's talk about it. What do you want to do? Like if I thought we were going to go this way, do you want to go this way? How can we as a group, move to the position that you want to go to, because everyone has a desire and like a want for the reason they bring these characters to these games. So I think if you as the GM can put in some time, be like, this is where I think a good, fun, satisfying outcome would be for you. Is that cool with you? And if they're like, yeah, cool, then you work together to get to that point. But if they're like, no, then you work together to fix it to get what they want to do. So yeah.
Awesome.
Open communication.
Very last
I
question.
don't know if this will have enough time, but how do you get someone who like does like only like this small like one paragraph backstory? How do you get them like involved? And
I feel like you've got something here.
I got one of those in my current campaign. It's like
You do have to ask them a lot more questions in session, and then you kind of help them build. If they're not going to build the backstory, they're just players like that sometimes. But then when you ask them questions in session, you can kind of like build like the sub branches of like the one paragraph that they have, and then kind of go in to create maybe even sometimes not offhand questions, but just be like, what type of like childhood did you have, do you think? And even if their question is like offhanded, they've still given you the bullets for your gun, you know, that kind of thing. Like it is something you have to develop. If it's just not going to happen at the beginning, it'll happen throughout.
Yeah.
There are players that I've run games for that very much operate that same way.
Yeah.
They'll give me just a little blurb at the beginning, and then it's explored as we play, either literally through, hey, do you think your character has visited this town before? And maybe they'll have an answer, maybe they won't. Or it'll be outside, and maybe they'll, like, as we're developing the lore or the setting or anything like that, maybe they'll have a couple of ideas and hit you with it later. But again, keeping communication with them of like, hey, I was thinking maybe we could explore this theme if your character has experienced this. Approach it with some fun questions to kind of motivate more creativity from them. Not that they're not being creative. That was
Well, I mean, to that point a little bit, and also getting back to safety, like that might just be the way they choose to engage with the game. They might be like, this actually is perfect for me. I only wanted this. This is the paragraph I wanted, and whatever you're doing right now is perfect. And so like they might be having a good time already, and I know that it's kind of a weird way to answer the question, but like
it's that wonderful feeling of like, okay, they only gave me this. They say they're having fun, but are they having fun?
Yeah.
And we're all very narratively focused.
Yeah.
Not every player is, and
Yeah.
that is so okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So good to keep in mind.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So lovely.
On the internet, if you're interested in any of the amazing work that any of these people do, starting from the farthest and coming back this way.
Hi, I'm Kujo. You can find me all over the internet as either Kujo Plays Games for my personal page, which involves a lot of pro wrestling stuff because I am retiring as a professional wrestler this year, or you can follow Crit Hit Chronicles for official show updates and all that. I run Tales of Valiant on Thursday nights at Crit Hit Chronicles on Twitch. One of my players is right there. Go and give them some love. And I also have a couple of other shows throughout the week, but yeah, follow me on the socials and let's have some fun.
Hello everybody, my name is David Tilster again. First of all, thank you all for coming out. This is a lot of fun. Thank you to the awesome panelists up here. This is a lot of fun. You can find myself, at David Tilster, pretty much any of the sites. And you can find primarily what I do at any of the sites at StoryQuest Show. We run a lot of 5e currently, but we run a lot of different shows, and we have all sorts of different systems and players and GMs and all sorts of stuff. So come check us out. We'd love to see you there.
I'm Josephine. You can find me at Scary Dog Friend on Blue Sky and Twitch and YouTube and all the things. You can mostly find me at Bad House RPG. We run a lot of World of Darkness, Vampire the Masquerade kind of stuff, and I'm primarily a horror girly, so that's where the genre where I live. So.
My name is Patrick Greeny, and you can find all of my work at unbalancedencounters.com. Our Tales of the Valiant game is going to be a wet western, and it debuts October 2025. That is unbalancedencounters.com.
Say wet western and not.
Yeah. We're out of time, everybody!
Thank you.